Hey everyone, I'm Tassenix, and welcome to another mod guide video. This time we are digging into Nightsister Spirit. She's an older character, been around for a long time, kind of fell into disuse here in the current Nightsister meta under Mother Talzin, but with the Great Mother, she's found a new home. She's a brutal attacker there, gets steroided by a whole bunch of effects, and also has a lot of restoration coming her way. But before we get too far into the weeds, let's go ahead and run the TLDR for Nightsister Spirit. Set type should be crit damage and crit chance. The arrow should be speed. Circle would ideally be health over protection. Neither one's technically bad, but health is maybe just a little better. Triangle should be crit damage, and the cross would be offense or potency with strong percent offense secondaries to compensate. Turn order. Yeah, this is one of the optional characters for the Great Mother's team, so it matters a bit less about when she goes relative to the other characters. You want her to be hard-hitting and relatively fast. We'll cover that. But, yeah, her turn order doesn't matter so much relative to anyone else. That said, though, stat priority should be crit chance first. She actually has a very high natural base crit chance of over 86%, just over 86% at Relic 8. So with a crit chance 2-piece, it's pretty easy to get up to 100%, and I'd say the good value to be is between 100 and 110. There's more crit avoidance running around these days than way back when you might have last used this character. But that's the consideration first, is crit chance. Next is offense. This character has a whole bunch of opportunities to stack and double at offense and ignore defense. Hideous amount of damage actually getting done here. So I would say offense is the next priority. Speed is still pretty important. This character does have a bit of turn meter built into itself, plus turn meter gains on the team. Still, you want to have a decent amount of base speed because the more she's flying, the more she's just knocking people right out. And then potency is a last point. Yeah, this character does have debuffs and turn meter reduction in her kit, so it's not a terrible idea to have some potency in here. I would say that overall, hitting harder is more important, but if you can, make that stretch goal and pick up some potency, it'll be worth your time. So that's why I have these couple of notes here at the bottom. Just make sure that you can get about 100% crit chance at high relics, of course. I'm talking like Relic 8. Scale it down a little bit more depending on where you are. But at the top of the game, it's pretty easy to be 100% plus crit chance. So if you're in Kyber 1 like that, should be doable. And that said about the potency, Spirit actually has a 69% base potency, which is pretty easy to get around 100%. A potency cross alone is 30%, right? So not a lot of work to pick up that last little bit through secondaries. So if you were of the mind to be at 100% potency and have that higher probability of taking advantage of, the TMR and the debuffs in her kit, absolutely keep that in mind. Okay, so since we are going to run her under the Great Mother's leadership, let's again review the benefits that Nightsister Spirit will be getting from her kit. So, Great Mother's leadership, Threads of Destiny, will give Nightsister allies 30% defense, max health, and 30 speed. Blessed allies gain 20% max health and offense. Great Mother's unique to the old ways gives Nightsister allies 30% accuracy, max health, and tenacity, but they cannot be revived. And whenever an enemy is critically hit, Great Mothers and all blessed allies gain 1% offense stacking for 2 turns and recover 2% protection, doubled if the enemy had vulnerable. Alright, let's talk about her unique Malevolent Spirit. At the end of her turn and at the start of each encounter, Nightsister Spirit gains Foresight for 1 turn. While Nightsister Spirit has Foresight, she has plus 100% offense, and her attacks ignore armor. It's huge. Alright, she's actually going to be getting this Foresight all the time, so there's high reliability on that. Her basic, Spectral Embrace, says deal physical damage to target enemy, inflict speed down for 2 turns, and remove 20% turn meter. Gain turn meter equal to the amount removed. Now, her special, Possess. Deal physical damage to target enemy, dispel all buffs on them, and inflict stun for 1 turn. So you can see that she only has this basic and this one special, but this special is on a 3-round cooldown, so it'll come back. You'll get a couple 3 uses over the course of a fight, something like that, right? But this basic is actually pretty nasty. The inflicting the speed down and the TMR, and her gaining that turn meter means that she can be flying. She has a very strong synergy with a decent amount of speed. That's why I say it's a worthwhile consideration. If we want to go ahead and talk about team comps and turn order, I will refer you back to the original Great Mothers video where I go into more detail about these. But yeah, back when we first had Great Mothers here in 3 versus 3 with her new Kron, the thought was Spirit's going to be like a reliable standby here for 3 versus 3. Very much mandatory, because why wouldn't you want to have somebody that hits as hard as she does and has all of that, foresight going on? She's just going to be difficult to deal with, and yeah, you've got the rest of the kit going on, right? Well, as it turns out, right now, you really want Bless to go on Morgan, whether it's in 3s or in 5s. And I feel, what's actually ended up proving out is that Nightsister Spirit and Acolyte are both AI competitors for Morgan to get blessed. So you may not want to have Spirit or Acolyte with Morgan at this point in time. That may change in the future, and both of those are worthwhile characters outside of, you're worried about who's going to get blessed. All right. That said, in 3s and in 5s right now, we're definitely seeing Death Trooper Peridia having taken place, the place of Spirit. Because right now there's a Kylo Ren Unmasked led First Order team with Supreme Leader Kylo Ren on it that involves creating a turn meter loop of zooming around this team in order to kill it. And part of threatening that counter is having something like Death Trooper Peridia or other characters capable of doing AoE, because as Slacker is taking all these turns and gaining all this turn meter, he's lowering his max health and protection, making himself paper thin and vulnerable to even the slightest hit. So yeah, not only is DTP a lesser AI priority and doesn't compete with Morgan to get blessed, he's also a damage threat to the primary counter at this point. All right, so that said, let's go ahead and take a look a moment at the mods themselves. I'll have a couple characters here to compare against. Here's Aesop Rocks, for example. He has a speed arrow, crit damage triangle, offense cross, protection circle. As I said, you could go with health or protection. You see that there is protection recovery in this team. There's also a lot of % health gains. There's also some from like Death Trooper Peridia's unique is percentage health and protection. So everybody's a winner. I don't think this is a bad way to go at all. I myself, actually, you'll see, have a protection circle. So anyway, he's 330 speed, which is extremely fast. I would say 280 to 300 is kind of the floor of where I'd like to see her. I'd prefer to be faster than 300 myself, but 280 to 300 is kind of the minimum band. You really do want her to be decently quick. All right, crit damage set, of course, means you're going to have this fat crit damage bonus. Potency, we can see that Aesop decided to go for no added potency, which means his stat budget went somewhere else. And there it is. It's in his offense. In a crit damage set, 10,866 is very strong. Now his is Relic 9. Almost, very few people. I don't even have a Relic 9 as well. And I have a whole bunch of goofy optional Relic 9s that are very, very fun. This is not yet one of them. And 10,866 is a ton of offense added. So we can see where that potency budget would have gone. He is over 100% crit chance in that strike zone I was talking about, between 100 and 110. So beautiful. All right. Now, compared to mine, mine's just a little different from what I recommend, because I think it's, going to be a little harder for most people to hit this. And there's some other characters that want a fast crit, offense primary crit chance set type arrow a little more. But if you can, it would be super great if you had a fast offense primary for your arrow, okay? And, offense for your cross, crit damage triangle. Of course, there's my potency in secondaries here, adding up to a total of 95%. Okay, I would ideally like to be at about 100. Maybe I can, get some better mods or push something around to figure that out in the long term, but we'll see. 315 speed is a fine mark to be, of course. Not as fast as Aesop's, but certainly over the minimum that I was saying. Got the crit damage triangle going, so, that's a decent reason. Actually, I see why a high-end player might take this character to Relic 9, because she does have crit damage mastery, so she will gain just a little bit more crit damage multiplier going to 9. Mine's 240, and his is 243. So it's a non-zero factor, to be sure. All right, so yeah, I've tested this out with like a potency cross here that had high offense. I'm able to be something like 110 potency. It's nice, but I didn't like how much offense I was dropping in exchange for that. So that's why I reverted back to having an offense primary here. You could absolutely do the potency cross though if you have, 6+% offense in secondary, something like that, where you're getting the lion's share of an offense primary. That's a good idea. So yeah, 10,363, about 450 offense from, Aesop's. Crit chance between 100 and 110. Mine's at 107. And yeah, that's about it. So she's a super hard-hitting character, and you might ask here in the comments, I know a lot of folks have questions about crit damage versus offense. Tass, with the stacking offense on the team and, the doubled offense from her unique, why not do an offense set? And it's because you want her to be able to hit the absolute possible hardest that she can as early as possible in the fight. Forget about ramping. You want her in every turn she have to hit as barbarically hard as possible, assuming that she might only get a couple turns to hit. There's no guarantee that she may even get 2 uses of her special in a fight. It would be nice if she got between 2 and 3. It can be done, but if your opponent's fighting this team and they know what they're about, they'll have that character controlled. It's not going to be that big of an issue. I would say that it's so important that you're hitting as hard as possible on a per hit basis from the earliest part of the fight moving forward, and nothing hits harder per hit than crit damage. That being said, don't go for this, if you had to do a crit damage set that had absolutely no offense on it through secondaries, as opposed to a decent, offense set, okay, fine. Use that offense set until you build up your crit damage, because certainly you want to cultivate crit damage mods that have % offense on them. You can get that out through secondaries. Like, look at mine here. We're pushing up on 3,000 offense here, right? And we've got 2 offense primaries driving a lot of that, but these mods are no slouch overall for % offense. So look for that. Look to build that up. And, I think the crit damage set will serve you far better in the long run than merely offense. All right. So thank you so much for watching this. If you watched all the way to the end here, please do give a like and hit subscribe for the channel to see more. Always looking forward to responding to you guys in comments and on Discord. And my next video is going to be covering, I think, the last few options for filling out this team, Nightsister wise. So we'll make a combo video on the last few characters. Looking forward to doing that one, and then moving on to the next faction. So let me know what you guys want to see. Always love talking to you, and until next time, it's been real. It's been awesome. It's been real awesome. Take care.